none of us know this. White people don't understand the forces of racism in our country. And I think what's happening right now is really sort of a reckoning to all of us to learn and to understand why racism is so prevalent.
I don't know if it's just me romanticizing the NBA or basketball, but it seems like the white players in the NBA have a much more keen understanding of race than, say, white NFL players do. Like there's much more of a division there when it comes to race. And I don't know if it's because you have position groups on a team. And so sometimes you're just with people, you know, like if you're playing on the offensive line, let's be honest, a lot of offensive linemen are white. And so they tend to be segregated within their own unit and with their own coaches. But it just seems like much more sort of segregation when it comes to talking about racial issues, even though I know they're discussed in pro football locker rooms as well. But there just seems to be a difference. What is it about basketball that allows, white players to develop maybe a different level and a more complex understanding of race?
It's a great question. And I don't know that I have the answer. I do think it really matters that the NBA leadership, Adam Silver and David Stern before him, NBA management has always been very supportive of players' right to speak out and to make our voices heard and to feel comfortable in dealing with issues of race and social injustice. And in fact, now it feels like we're partners. And I think that has to matter. I mean, you contrast that with the NFL, who basically refused to acknowledge what Colin Kaepernick was actually doing and really played to their fan base. It's two totally different ways of approaching things. And I think the players feel that. So maybe some of it has to do with just the way the powers that be in each respective league has approached these issues.
How much did playing basketball shape your attitudes and your understanding of race in America?
Well, I think the one thing it did was it put me around Black people for my whole life, basically my whole life. My junior high school in Los Angeles was integrated. So from junior high, and my high school was as well. So from junior high on, I had Black teammates. And so I made a lot of friends and it became normal to have Black teammates and interact with Black people. Having said that, like these last few months have been really almost humiliating for me, because I think as an athlete, sometimes you fall back on, I got Black teammates, I'm friends with Black people. I know this. We don't know this. None of us know this. White people don't understand the forces of racism in our country. And I think what's happening right now is really sort of a reckoning to all of us to learn and to understand why racism is so prevalent and powerful. And not only that, it's and this should not be about white guilt. I shouldn't feel guilty, but I should feel responsible for my part in it all, right? So if I am able to see where racism is taking hold in society, then I should take action, whatever that means. And so I think it's really been eye-opening the last few months, because I frankly feel like I was oblivious to a lot of that for all these years.
Well, you're somebody who I would consider who does have a very enhanced view of racism in America, based off some of your commentary and you made it known what's important to you. So I'm a little surprised that you would have that viewpoint. What's the blind spot do you think that you have or had?
I think I think the blind spot is in the awareness that just because you consider yourself a good person and you have Black friends and you even do charitable work and raise money for organizations that maybe are trying to help Black communities, that doesn't mean you're not complicit in the system. That was my blind spot, I think. And I think, Robin DiAngelo's book, White Fragility, was really, really powerful for me. And the last 4 or 5 months, I've really kind of dedicated my reading towards issues of racism. And DiAngelo's book was the one that was really geared towards, hey, white people, like this one is for you. I read the new Jim Crow, which was amazing, and I think it should be required reading for everybody, especially white Americans, to understand the system, mass incarceration, and what's happening out there. But the White Fragility one was fascinating because the author really gives you a different perspective on what exactly racism is, and it takes you much deeper into why racism is so dominant still in our society. And it forces you to look in the mirror and say, all right, something's up, and we are part of it, whether we believe we're a good person or not. It's happening. And so that requires a reckoning.
Steve, the Warriors obviously aren't in the bubble. As we're having these different conversations about race in America, is there part of you that wishes that you guys were together to have some of this discourse? I mean, I'm sure you probably talk to people maybe individually, but just as a group, do you kind of miss or wish you guys were together?
Yes, on many levels. On a basketball level, these teams in Orlando have gotten a couple of months ahead of the other 8 teams that aren't together, and so that's concerning. And next season, who knows when that's going to start? But it's a really long time to go without being on the floor, but also just being together to have these discussions about what's happening in our country right now. These are really important times, and I think important moments for our team too. Not only to make sure we are educating ourselves, but the bonding that can occur through conversation is really crucial too.
Sticking with the basketball end of it, watching how things are going in the bubble right now, we're in the midst of still the first round of the playoffs. Are you even though the NBA leadership has been miles ahead of other leadership structures in professional sports, but are even you surprised at how well they have pulled this off?
Yes. Yeah, I really am. Especially judging from the early conversations with the league on what they were trying to pull off. I mean, this is a gargantuan effort when you think about everything that went into putting together this bubble to the finest detail. The league has just done an incredible job, and here we are, I guess, almost 2 months into it, and for there not to be a single case, and for the games to have come off beautifully. And the games have been fun to watch, and I'm really proud, to be part of the league and to see the way the players have carried themselves and the way the league management has kind of pulled this whole thing off, because I thought it was sort of a 50-50 endeavor when they first started talking about it.
Just from a pure basketball standpoint, what's the biggest difference you notice between basketball in the bubble and basketball outside of the bubble?
Well, I think I'm not there, so it's. But I've talked to Bob Myers, our general manager with the Warriors, and he went down there for several days to do some scouting, and I asked him about the atmosphere, and he said, and he saw playoff games. And he said it's such a different vibe. And I don't think you can just remove the pressure of 20,000 fans on the road all screaming at you as you rise up for a shot. You compare that to being in an empty gym, even though it's still the playoffs and it's on TV, it feels it feels looser. It doesn't feel as tense as it might otherwise be, with fans in the stands, as we've always seen. Now that might change as we get deeper into the matchups, the better matchups, and teams are going head to head, and we're seeing 6 and 7 game series. That could totally change, but the level of play has been really good. Players are competing, coaches are really doing an amazing job. So I've been impressed.
When you look at the officiating, Steve, do you notice any difference in the bubble?
No, they're still as bad as they've always been. Wait, strike that.
Yes, we'll kill that. We won't kill that.
You can keep it. That's just my.
That's a joke, people. Yes.
So, I think, if anything, I have great respect for the officials, the players, the coaches, the league management, all the people who have been down there and committed, months away from their homes and their families. It's remarkable, and what every single person has sacrificed for the good of the league is really important, and I recognize all that. So I'm really grateful for everybody down there.